Yeah.
If someone's trying to date me and they don't have like a strong emoji game, I'm like, I'm unical unicron. What are you doing?
Like, emojis are like the fastest memes that we have, right? Like, you can like cultivate an idea from an emoji like instantly, like, you know, if it's good or bad. So I feel like not only are they like an intention buzzer, but they're also like this helping us rapidly process things as well.
Is it just us two in here right now?
I really think it might be. I don't know if anyone else is going to come.
I'm here. I'm trying to get my stuff working.
Hello.
Hello.
That was very ominous, Unicorn.
Yeah. I'm here. Hello, we are live with Unicorn and Cait from Unicult. These are questions all about emojis. First question. Why are emojis around?
Okay, so the question, let me reiterate the question just so I make sure I understand. Why are emojis a thing?
Yes.
Gotcha. I think that emojis are a thing because facial expressions are more nuanced than words sometimes.
It's a great answer. I think that they are around because people like to use symbolism to express themselves.
Do y'all know who came up with emojis?
One of the first people on the internet.
Probably like
a smiley face.
Ancient humans probably came up with emojis. Like, they're probably on like cave paint. I mean, look at hieroglyphs. I bet there's totes emojis in hieroglyphs.
Y'all are so telepathic. So what part of society uses emojis the most? Which means it could mean middle class versus higher class, or what generation of people use emojis the most?
I want to say the youth, but sometimes older people use like a lot of emojis.
Yeah, my mom's really into emojis. One time she accidentally, she meant to send me the thumbs up emoji, but she sent me the middle finger emoji and then felt
Yeah, my dad, he doesn't like, he doesn't always wear his glasses, and so sometimes he'll send emojis that he thinks are appropriate and they're not, and people are always getting mad at him because they're like, why did you send me that emoji? And he's like, I don't know, they all look the same, but he still sends them. So
I would say I feel like everyone uses them.
Do you have a particular story of that happened?
My stepmom, I guess, got mad at my dad because she was telling him something serious and he sent her like a winky emoji. And she was like, why did you send that? Yeah, probably everyone who has access to technology. Obviously, there's a class disparity with people who don't have access to phones, but most people get access to phones. Even homeless people have access to free phones now that have access to emojis, so that's pretty interesting.
And emojis like aren't necessarily limited to just phones anymore. I mean, Facebook Messenger has emojis. All kinds of messaging programs have emojis too.
It's true.
What part of society, lower class or high class, invented emojis?
I mean, people who had access to technology and were in charge of developing it, but Cait's description of emojis is like far-reaching.
Yeah.
So that's ancient class, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like pre-classism. Before there was like a class system.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Gave us faces. God. Who gave us our face. The face. The first emoji.
Yeah.
I'm loving these answers. How do emojis affect people?
I think they can start fights and confusion. Everyone uses them different, so they all have different meanings and different interpretations. Like one guy that I was talking to a while ago when I was on dating apps, he was sending me a kissy face emoji, but I thought it was a whistling emoji. So I thought he was like making fun of me, like, ooh, that was like a bad thing for you to do. And it wasn't, I didn't realize that it was a kissy face. So I got mad at him, and then I never talked to him. And then I realized later it was a kissy face emoji.
Wow.
So I forgot the question, but
how do emojis affect people?
Yeah, that was like obviously the opposite intention.
I don't know. I feel like it's so dependent on who I'm speaking to. Because if I know them well, sometimes emojis can be like inside jokes or like feel like affection sometimes. Or like if I've spoken to them in real life or on cam, then I can picture them like making a face similar to that. So I feel like it kind of adds some depth to our conversation. But like Nicole said, if I don't know them well, sometimes it can feel like condescending or like misplaced.
It's really contextual, right? Like just even the most simple emoji of like the simple smiley face, like sometimes if something's like embarrassing for someone, I'll send that and I'll be like, you know, but like that's like that's not what that means necessarily, but it's just like sometimes it can mean like, please stop messaging me.
Yeah, or sometimes the like just regular smiley face feels like passive aggressive, and also like the grimacing smiley face, like I love that one, but to
with
me
the teeth?
It's like yeah
or straight across,
like the straight across one. Like to me that like feels like a regular smile because when I was a kid that's how I would smile, but
it's
then also but also like it feels like a grimace too, like oh.
I feel like the facial emojis, you actually have more miscommunication, whereas if you send just like an alien emoji or a sparkle emoji, like those are actually safer.
Yeah, I love the sparkle emoji. It makes me feel like a magical girl every time I use it.
Yeah.
What sparkle emoji are y'all talking about?
The like 3-star.
Ding, ding.
Oh.
That's the sound effect it would make, Spencer.
So, along with that question that I just asked, how do emojis affect people? How does it affect y'all when different people send different emojis? Or like, y'all think some people overuse emojis and it affects y'all negatively?
I think that it's really up to like if they're like using them with a sense of awareness. You know, like if you ever see those like stories where like every other word is an emoji and they're using the emojis to like accentuate this, like that's funny, right? Like those are always funny because they're just so extreme and ridiculous. I don't think I've ever felt like anyone was overusing emojis, but I have felt like people have sent like weird emojis where like I've like judged them and been like, why are you sending that emoji? Usually in like dating, right? Like I'm like, if someone's trying to date me and they don't have like a strong emoji game, I'm like, I'm Nicole Unicron. Like, what are you doing?
Spencer, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
One moment, please. My cat is trying to break down.
Oh, is that your cat? I was wondering what that was.
I think it was like, how do you feel when people use emojis? Like, do you ever feel like people overuse them or like use them wrong?
Is that what it was? Spencer, how do I feel about if people overuse emojis? Hello, cat.
I knew this was going to happen. How do people translate emojis?
Oh, is that the next question or the question from before?
Oh, that was the next question.
Yeah, answer the other one because I want to know your answer.
What was the question last time? It was if I feel like people overuse emojis. Is that right?
Yes. I like not use emojis enough.
Or if I feel like they don't use emojis enough. Interesting. I don't know, my perception of emojis has been shifting because I think at one point in time I was like, ew, emojis in general, but now I feel like they're like now I feel like they're small like prayers or something. And
The Unicult shift.
like it's been like this for I had a friend who like brought up this idea of like emojis as like like spiritual things, and
People
it
do like
really,
emoji spells.
yeah, something
Ooh,
like
that
that,
is
yeah.
very interesting.
Like, well, because I feel like it's like a buzzer for intention, or like is like it's kind of like memes are kind of like I'm sorry, like emojis are like the fastest memes that we have, right? Like you can like cultivate an idea from an emoji like instantly, like you know if it's good or bad. So I feel like not only are they like an intention buzzer, but they're also like this helping us rapidly process things as well.
They're definitely
That's
an
all.
attention grabber. How do people translate emojis? What do y'all think is the most common way people translate emojis?
I think their past experience. Like, I think obviously they symbolize a certain thing on the surface level, which is maybe the first level of understanding and translation, right? Like, oh, it's a smiley face, they're happy, like you get that. But then it's like, you go to the next level of like, who are they to you? What is the context of the situation? Do they mean it passive aggressively? Do they mean it genuinely? Is it an inside joke you have with them? You know, it's like, it's run through this whole secondary level of analytic, like analyzing and understanding it.
Yeah, I that's my answer too, Spencer. I'm stealing your answer, Nicole.
Fair.
So is it are they being overanalyzed or not analyzed enough?
Ooh, that's a good question, Spencer.
I think older people don't analyze them enough and younger people overanalyze them.
I think that's like the perfect answer because like your dad says that they all look
He's
the
like,
same. So
whatever.
like you just kind of smash an emoji and hope for the best, hope that it's appropriate. Whereas like
kids are like, but they sent the winky face without the kiss, like without the heart. Like, what does that mean?
those
Believe me.
stories that you were talking about where it's like every other word is an emoji, those are like adding something to the story. It's adding something to the tone of the
Context.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like multi-layered for each emoji. Like you, I love what you said about them being memes. Like it's almost like each emoji is a meme. Like the eggplant doesn't exactly remind you, like that's not what most of us would think, but it's like culturally contextualized.
Why are emojis considered an iconic brand? Have you ever heard somebody say emojis are an iconic brand?
They totally are.
An icona brand?
Iconic
brand?
Like, I think that a lot of people have, I actually think that a lot of people have very strong opinions about which service / which like phone like operating system has the kind of emojis that they like.
Oh yes.
Like I just realized like a few weeks ago that the Discord emojis are different than the iPhone emojis, and I like the Discord emojis way better.
But also that creates dissonance in conversation because of the subtle differences. If you're an Android user and you send an emoji over text to an iPhone user, it looks different and it could mean a completely different thing based on how it looks. So that's really scary. And then I think some apps are addressing that, like Twitter. You know, if you upload an emoji on Twitter, it translates it to the Twitter emoji, and same with Discord. So it changes it to theirs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a scary like reality.
That is scary.
It's like
I'd
the
never
blue
thought about
you
that.
see isn't the blue I see.
Yeah.
But emojis. What was the
Oh,
question,
God.
Spencer?
Why emojis are considered an iconic brand.
Right. Yeah, Cait, I love what you're saying about people making preferences. And I feel like
Yeah.
iPhone kind of led the way with emojis because Android didn't even have them.
I wonder if that's why. I feel like because like the iPhone emojis are like the standard. Like when you see them in memes and stuff, it's the iPhone. You're not going to see like an Android emoji as like a meme.
Usually, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
So is that causing tension in society and in the competitive workspace? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's like a status thing.
Emojis.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of workplaces, emojis on like Slack, I've heard are like actually it could be like a political like.
That makes sense.
Free for all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it causes some confusion between people.
Then in terms of business, with people relating the emojis more to the iPhones now, what does that do when it comes to competition and friendly business?
Right, like nobody's putting emojis on their like resumes.
Yeah.
I wish they
Do you
would.
think they should?
Maybe in the future.
Like honestly, okay. So I spent time in employment services and I have like no right now, but I hope so in the future.
Right.
I feel like I hope and feel like our workforce is changing so much that there might be a time in the future where emojis on your resume is an appropriate choice to make.
It's the same in an email, right? Like emojis in a work email are just like weird. And like there's sometimes I want to write like haha, but then it like looks weird in a work email. And I'm like, gonna just make like a colon thing emoji, like a smiley face as like that's like the
most
top
basic.
Yeah. The most innocent, decontextualized. Yeah, I don't know. I think but emojis are very like when I worked at the Starbucks, we had like in Slack we had all kinds of like Starbucks related emojis.
Starbucks uses Slack?
Well, it was like in corporate.
Can y'all define that term?
Slack?
Yes.
It's like an app. It's like a chat app that it's kind of like it's a lot like Discord, but a lot of businesses use it to talk to different teams and stuff. So different teams can use it to have conversations. It's just like Discord.
Yeah.
What age group is the iconic brand targeting? Y'all can answer this in terms of generations too.
I mean, like definitely on t-shirts and stuff, like kids have the most emoji like swag, like materialism.
Yeah. I don't think the older generations view it as a brand. I think that they're I think older generations are indifferent to them as as having cultural significance. Yeah.
It's just
I think that they're just like, it's a smile.
Going on that question, how do y'all use emojis as a brand, as a material brand from day to day, and why?
I mean, the shirt that Cait's wearing right now is almost an emoji. It's like a smiley face.
Like an
as soon as I
emoji.
as soon as I could buy clothes with emojis on it, I bought a lot of clothes with emojis on it.
Oh yeah, you have that angel emoji dress, or you
Yeah, and I have
did.
like a whole suit. I have a whole emoji suit.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
I'm just like an internet, like I just like love anything that is like I'm online in real life, you know, because I just love the
Ah,
internet.
so you
That's interesting.
so you relate buying emojis with being online, so you won't have to be so far away from being online when you're offline.
Yeah, when I'm offline, people look at me and they say that person likes the internet,
Yeah.
and that's that's what I like to
It's
walk
kind of
around.
like how you would wear a band t-shirt or something like that.
Totally.
You're letting everyone know that
And
you're
that's what
into
you
the
mean
internet.
by iconic brand. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
What time frame, and I think Cait already answered part of this question, what time frame did emojis become very popular and widespread?
Did I
Probably
answer
just
that?
smartphones. Oh, ancient times. Since just
Yeah.
thinking.
But
So,
what
are you saying that some of these questions have answers? Are you test? Is this a test?
when did they become very popular and widespread though? I know they were widespread in the ancient times that, well, to an extent. So that's why I say you answered part of that question already. But
Do you
in
count like faces on a coin as an emoji?
Oh.
not until now, I never thought of that.
They're not
I
really
w-
expressing like emotions.
but I
No,
wonder
they're
if that makes me wonder if throughout history, well, I mean, I think that's I think it's safe to say that people throughout history have taken art, especially art with faces in it, and recontextualized it into memes. So I think that it's fair to say that like probably in like hieroglyph times, someone was like, LOL, here's like Horace or whatever making a funny face or something. So I don't know.
Where's our horse making a funny face emoji? Is that on the iPhone?
I think so. I think I've seen the whole emoji before. So question 11. Can you believe we got this far? We're on Zoom. We're zooming through this. What effect do emojis have on society as a non-material culture? We already talked about the material aspect of it. What do they have? How they affect society as a non-material culture?
Well, they say that our conversations are like only 7% the words we say, and like there's so much else that's lost in like our facial expression and our body gestures and our intonation. And I feel like emojis are like sort of an attempt to recapture some of the data that's lost from not having face-to-face or voice conversations. Like just having text conversation is like pretty hard to understand what people mean.
Yeah.
So I think it's good in that way. I think that's partly why they exist and why they're so popular.
Sorry, Spencer. Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
How do emojis affect society as a non-material culture?
We were just saying that it's like in the digital space, how is it helpful? Like how does it help culture, or how does it affect culture?
I don't know. I've not thought about that. You might have to message me for like a reflection update on that question because I've never thought about it before.
Why are we using emojis as hieroglyphs? I've noticed we are actually using like emoji sentences, emoji strings to say sentences.
Yeah.
Why has society gone back to hieroglyphs? And y'all very telepathic by continuing to bring up that word, hieroglyph.
Hieroglyphs. I think it just makes sense. I think that like if you look back at, you know, from an evolutionary standpoint with, you know, primates, I mean, facial expressions are natural to us, and imagery is now, I mean, imagery is a faster communication tool on, you know, a subconscious level than words are.
I think people get bored with communication styles, and that's why younger generations use slang, and every culture that is raised up wants a different way to express themselves. And also, like, the mood and the vibe of the culture is different. So maybe emojis help us, like maybe emojis are like part of our slang.
Yeah, I like that too.
As language adapts.
Do you think we're ever going to go back to hieroglyphs straight up?
I guess it depends on what you mean by hieroglyphs, because
hieroglyphs.
That'd be sweet. Man, if someone doesn't like actually use that for something, it's such a missed opportunity. I don't know. That doesn't seem likely to me.
Final
pretty
question.
Useful. Okay.
Well, on the list anyway. There's like a couple more. What does the material culture of emojis say about America and American consumerism?
Wow.
American consumerism.
I don't know if there's an answer to that.
Man, these are some hard-hitting questions, Spence.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, easy answer is that Americans materialize anything. You can buy anything that exists. Yeah. But that feels like too easy.
Okay, so one thing that this is kind of like off track, but one thing that I've noticed is when you're using autocorrect, it like conveniently tries to sell you things. Like for instance, in my line of work, I have to spell oxytocin a lot, and my computer always tells me that oxytocin isn't a word and suggests that I use OxyContin.
Which is the branded version, right?
Which is the branded version. And it's the same thing where if you'll like type in a word that's also a brand, it'll like automatically capitalize that word and things like that. It makes me really paranoid. But I think that emojis do similar things where maybe like subconsciously you relate emojis to a specific item, or maybe items are using emoji branding to like make the relation between them.
Well, they should.
Right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
In a creepy way.
I feel like Lady Gaga really got in there when all the phones say Gaga instead of haha.
A little fun fact about the autocorrect. Well, one time when I tried to type in the word God, it autocorrected it as Satan.
That's terrifying.
Thank you both of y'all for y'all's participation in this. And there's one more question I have that is not on the list for some reason. All right. Emojis started off as emojicons on AOL. When and why have emojis developed from emojicons, expressions, and all that to dancing girls, vegetables, and other things that have nothing to do with facial expression whatsoever? And why do we consider that as an emoji?
I think Nicole said, earlier that it's slang. Like a peach is an ass.
I was really mad that we didn't have a unicorn emoji, right? And then I was complaining. I was like, I just wish we had a unicorn emoji. Why don't we have a unicorn emoji for years, right? And then I realized, I was like, oh, one day we'll have an emoji for everything. And it's not that far away. Yeah, and so it's like, maybe I should just enjoy this time of limited emojis.
So it's you that's been manifesting the emojis.
Yeah, well, it does bring up a good point, Spencer, about like, are we going to just use this as our language? Because it's like when you go on Instagram and you look up like the GIFs, like you can have infinite GIFs. Like you can type any word in and you can find GIFs for it. It's not that way with emojis yet, but it will be someday.
All right, well, thank y'all both for participating in this interview. I hope y'all had a good time.
Thank you, Spencer.
And uni bless.